So a handful of months back, I was going through some things that, at the time I felt like, let me step away from certain things and, figure out, what's going on. And, just certain things that I had already been experiencing for, the past several years had, continued, but this time at, a greater capacity because now it was people close to me doing, the same thing that strangers were doing. And so, some of it became very hard to focus when I was experiencing these things, and it made my time online very difficult. And so, wasn't getting direct answers about things, and so I'm like, I got to figure out, everything on my own. And so, that led me to step away from a situation. And upon doing that, I just, and I did it for several reasons. One of them, it's just different things that I had, noticed. I was receiving threats and different things. And then, um, I felt like an action I had taken wasn't good enough. And so, it was, I was kind of put in a situation to where, I had to duplicate that same action. And part of that was confusion as well. And then to come to find out different things in the process of this, and, still no wrong or no fault has been admitted. And so a lot of things have happened to, make me look a certain way, which I don't care about because I know at the end, I'm going to be justified. I'm not worried about a public perception. I'm not worried about, advancing within any particular community because, as I've said before, I've been isolated for a long time. And while I believe God is going to give me my tribe and my family, um, you know, it, I've thought I have had those connections over the years. Um, but as I said, different things transpired um, over the last handful of months, and it really caused me not to trust a lot of different people um, with information, with anything, because it seems like a lot of people only use certain things to benefit themselves, and if it will hurt them, they won't talk about it, even if it has to do with them. And so, it became frustrating to be the one experiencing certain things and experience a certain side of things and seeing a certain side of things. And yet, because of the influence of others, perception is being controlled. Um, and as I said, I'm fine with that. But I know at the end of the day, God is going to justify where I'm wrong, and He's going to be justified in judging me. And with that, and even where I'm right, or I don't like being, the right or wrong person because ultimately God is. But I know just from the consistent standpoint of being wrong in everybody's eyes who is perspecting the situation. Um, I've come to terms with a lot of different things that, either people don't like me and, whatever that may be. And dealing with those things in a more, mature manner, being able to interact with different people who are interacting with me, who are showing me the same type of, um, giving me the same type of things that I'm giving towards them. Um, and it's been hard to focus on the good because you still got different things floating around about you, about, certain things that you may have done or you did, and that's going to be a lie. And because people, are allowed to be vague on certain things, just certain things will never come out. But, I've been an open book for many different reasons. And, at the end of the day, people are going to have their ideas about people. And, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But, you don't want to place the wrong opinions on people. And, you don't want to be projecting the wrong things on the people. So it's extremely important that, we learn to not project certain things that we may feel or think about a certain situation onto people. Um, and as I've said, with having a hive mind and different things like that, um, it's easy to see how people can be persecuted within these times. And people, it's while verbal is pretty bad. Um, that's only intimidation when you shouting out things. When a person actually goes into the last stage and they actually start trying to make you do certain things, make you obey, make you um, say things against your will or do things against your will, that's when, that's when I believe that the real will be separated, even though it happens through, the other steps. Um, when they threaten chopping off your head for what you say you believe, like, will you still hold the same stances? Um, and can you honestly say somebody saying, if you believe somebody said something bad about you, can you honestly say that's equally yoked with um, having your head chopped off or being shot in the back of your head with a bag over your head for the gospel? And, you know, being an American, being in a comfortable position, um, it can make you really soft with your understanding of things. Like, there's people in the world going through real trials and different things for our faith. And our real tests haven't even began yet. And, as I was saying, a lot of things I've endured, um, I've learned to overcome because I realize I'm not facing the worst level. And so I learned not to be offended by things. And in the process of trying to mind my own business and, grow in maturity in different things and how I respond to different things and people around me, I've still been constantly mocked or constantly had different things I would say or, talk about, being manipulated by people around me. And so, it's made certain things tough, but, learning to endure and, make it through these situations is something that I'm grateful for. Um, and I'm certain that God will get the glory out at the end of all of this. Um, and, I'm grateful and thankful for anybody who has been a support for a while and actually have seen my heart with certain things. You know, I don't always have the most to give. I try to, donate a little bit here and there to different people. Um, and there's been even lies and accusations made about certain things that I may, you know, send to people or whatever. But be that as it may, I'm grateful for the people who, have been and supported me, who can joke